Hello. Not even 3 months after Hollow Knight Silksong's release, there's already a DLC teaser. Team Cherry, please take more than one break a year. Everyone else, rejoice. According to Team Cherry's blog post, Sea of Sorrow is nautically themed and will include new areas, bosses, tools, and more. The trailer takes place in the blasted steppes as seen by the unmistakable pillars in the background and the howling wind. In Team Cherry's interview with Bloomberg shortly after Silksong's release, they revealed the blasted steppes was originally the red Coral Gorge, and when asked if the Coral Gorge had only evolved or was cut to be used later, Ari Gibson replied with, "It did just evolve," notably saying nothing about it being reused. Obviously, it can't just come back as it was because the platforming would be exactly the same, but Coral Gorge had a sub-area known as the Coral Steppes where Steel Assassin Sharp's companions originally resided, someone Team Cherry had said was waiting to arrive. Steel Assassin Sharp's short-awaited arrival being part of this DLC would also fit in with the new boss's promise, and bringing back the Coral Steppes would fit with new areas. Maybe there was a collapsed wall somewhere in the blasted steppes that protected part of the Coral Gorge from erosion. It would solve the issue of the platforming being exactly the same. Red Coral Gorge was also intended to have 3 Plasmium buds, which, based on the trailer, seems to be a focus of this DLC. This is also one of the 3 cut areas that still have in-game assets, including but not limited to 2 enemy sprite sheets, 2 Hunter's Journal profiles, and save profile art. Obviously that could mean nothing, but seeing as there's only a handful of areas with in-game assets lingering, it just sticks out to me. Coral Steppes was originally going to be connected to Mount Fay, the Grand Gate, and Shellwood. The map has clearly changed since it was cut, seeing as there's nowhere that connects to all of these places, but there are still 3 clear gaps that could easily house the Coral Steppes. I think it would either go in the gap between Blasted Steppes, the Grand Gate, Shellwood, and Underworks, or underneath the Blasted Steppes next to Shellwood and above Wormways and Bone Bottom. I think Pharloom Bay will also be added. Not only are there still mentions of it in-game, namely Alchemist Xylitol saying Plasmium was discovered at the farthest edge of Pharloom hidden deep in salt-stricken waters, but also a lore tablet in Weaveness Merglin that reads "Sister Spider sat between salt and stone," notably the only room in the game containing assets shown in Pharloom Bay. There's also unused code that places Pharloom Bay east of Bylewater. It's unlikely Team Cherry would have left this much stuff regarding Pharloom Bay in the game if it weren't going to be used later. In Ari Gibson's sketchbook, a cut room in this area was labeled Lab and had blue petals, which are notably in the trailer. There was also a sketch of an ocean outpost, which had a large circular structure at the top. Could this be the light behind Hornet in the trailer? Pharloom Bay was supposed to have a water vessel, and at the end of the trailer we see Hornet standing on a boat. Coincidence? I think not. The opening shot of the trailer showcases a row of something that looks strikingly similar to the lamps in Pharloom Bay. There's even a corpse in the memoriam from that area. Putting Pharloom Bay in its original spot next to Bylewater would fit because there's already code placing it there, assets from that area in Bylewater, and it would fit Team Cherry's promise of multiple new areas. Originally by Crawl Lake, another area I think might be added in is the Gloom. In the reveal trailer, we see the Gloom Beast, an early version of the Gargant Gloom that spits purple instead of black. Notably, 2 of the 5.5 enemies in the Void have the term Gloom in their name, the aforementioned Gargant Gloom and the Gloom Sack which can be summoned by it. There's still a bunch of in-game assets for that area too, including vines, spikes, chains, and a water texture that ended up being reused for Pale Lake. The Gloom had already been cut in January 2020, but a reworked version of it had been added back in mid-2021, looking far more like Bylewater. If it gets added back, it can't go where it was originally planned to, as Verdania is located there now, so I think it would be connected to Bylewater or possibly be a sub-area of the Void. The Gloom isn't particularly nautical themed, so I wouldn't be surprised if it doesn't make it in this DLC, but I do think it will be added in eventually.